Good evening. Welcome to the business meeting of the Florence City Council. Call the meeting to order, and if we could stand for the invocation and the pledge. We pray for wisdom to make decisions beneficial to represent you. Empower us to speak honestly, reflect wisely, and vote with integrity. We seek your guidance tonight. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Miss Wingo?
Here.
Miss Chambers?
Here.
Mr. Wynn?
Here.
Miss Whalen? Here. Mr. Snyder?
Here.
Miss Cable?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
We have for consideration approval of the minutes of the business meeting of March 11, 2025. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Whalen?
Second.
Second, Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to make a proclamation. Whereas the welfare of children is vital to the future of our communities, and all children have the right to grow up in a safe, nurturing, and supporting environment. And whereas child abuse and neglect are serious social problems that can have long-lasting and devastating effect on children's, families, and society as a whole. And whereas every year thousands of children in our nation and in our community experience physical and emotional abuse as well as neglect, and are left without the support and protection they need to excel. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be prevented through awareness, education, support services, and a concerted effort by all members of society to ensure the safety and well-being of children. And whereas organizations and individuals in our community are dedicated to raising awareness of the dangers of child abuse and providing resources to prevent abuse, support victims, and educate the public about how to recognize and report child abuse. And now, therefore, I, Julie Aubuchon, Mayor of the City of Florence, on behalf of the members of Florence City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Florence, Kentucky. I do want to call to attention, this is a serious subject, and we do recognize this yearly, and it is through our efforts that there is a celebration to, rally in support of those who are trying to overcome child abuse, and we have that every year at the Tom Gill Chevrolet, and it will be April 1st at 11:30. Welcome the public to be there and to be in support. The City of Florence does host the art contest every year to get the word out with elementary school children, and I think they always do a fabulous job, and so it's our pleasure to participate with that. All right, we have ordinance number 08-2025. It's a first reading. It's an ordinance adopting and approving a change of concept development plan in a commercial 2 plan development district for an approximate 0.97 acre area located at 8534 US 42 Florence, Kentucky, to allow for alternative signage. This is Mike's Car Wash. The effect of this ordinance is to allow change of concept development plan in a C2 PD Commercial 2 Plan Development District for an approximate 0.97 acre area located at 8534 US 42, Florence, Kentucky, to allow for changes in signage currently located on the site. The full text of Ordinance 08-2025, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the City Clerk, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo? Second, Mr. Wynn. Any discussion? We did have Planning and Zoning Committee met, as well as we had discussion at a previous council meeting. Is there any further discussion? Leslie?
I remember watching a city council meeting from my home several years ago, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an ordinance proposed to allow Health Point to have an electronic message board sign. And I remember there being a lot of discussion and a lot of reluctance to allow this sign. And the health point had to convince the council that it would be in the best interest of the community as a whole to communicate things like get your flu shot, to allow for this message board. And then I've noticed that since I've been on council, there have been a lot of requests for electronic message boards. The city has added an electronic message board. And I'm surprised how different it is from that original meeting that I saw on TV, where there was more of a reluctance to have these boards to keep the city looking a certain way and to avoid the city looking a certain way. And I was just wondering if anyone else on council remembers that and can shed some light on how things have changed since then.
I wasn't a part of that one, but it is not a part of the record, so I don't know if it has any validity to this specific discussion, Tom. I don't know if I'm wrong on that. You are correct. Thank you.
I think the question, I guess, that came to Leslie's mind, and if I'm wrong, tell me, is because Mike's has asked for an electronic message board, so I think that's kind of the lead-in for her as to why now this is more acceptable than it was. And there was a lot of discussion and a lot of pushback for many years. The schools are allowed to do it without any approval from anybody. It has become more lenient, and I've noticed as well. But I guess that's why you're asking the question, is because Mike's, to tie it back to what we're talking about, I guess.
I'm also thinking that we strengthen the regulations with regard to electronic message boards at some point in time, and that could have been along with that. I'm not exactly sure what the timeline was, but that could have been part of it. That we have, like, they can't have so many lines of text, and they can't flash too quickly, and they can't have video, and so I think maybe there was some additional regulations that were added. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn or not, but.
I don't remember the exact timeline of Help Point versus when some of the regulations were tightened up. I think some of the regulations got a little bit stronger or more stringent. But again, I'd have to go back and look at the Help Point approval and look at the regulations and compare them. I'm not prepared to do that.
It just seemed to be a whole different attitude on council from what I was watching at home towards what we see now. Just wondering some history on that and how everything changed. But that's good information. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, but I would
Linda?
also add that I think it's become a more common practice than it was. I can remember many years ago, it was very unusual to have an electronic messaging board. That was pretty rare. And again, as you mentioned, the schools did them without, I mean, they didn't need permission to be able to do them. I think that's why we saw others start to want to do those. And they're just much more common now. You drive down the road, any place you go, and it's pretty common to see them. But some communities don't have nearly the regulations that we have about the amount of time that it can be on the board. They're flashing and doing all this kind of stuff, and we don't permit that. I mean, they have a 5-second hold before it can change again, and you can't have, things coming in dancing to introduce the next thing that's on the board. So, yeah, I think that's part of it, is it's become much more common. It's probably much more affordable than it was at one time as well, and it probably looks better now than it used to. Just because of the advances in technology. That's my guess. I could be wrong.
Any other discussion?
Well, and I think my thought might be maybe we can get some history, because there was a lot of pushback by the city for many years on electronic message boards. For that reason, because they didn't want to distract the traffic, the people driving, there were lots of things about them, and there was very much pushback about where they could be and who could have them, and they did become much more common and much more accepted. So I don't know if that was a direct change in regulations, if that was a direct change in just the city's approach. I don't recall all of it either, but I know that the attitude and the approach has changed. So I would assume it's got something to do with the changes to the way that accepted signs are done, which is back to topic, why Mike's Car Wash has one, so bring it back around to where we are.
Well, I don't know if for sure if that's accurate to say that the approach has changed and that I think that this was a request by a property owner, and so it's just kind of worked its way through the process. I don't think that is something that the city has solicited, for that particular parcel. I think that's something that was brought forward by the property owner there. But I do think, I agree with Ms. Wingo, is that the technology has gotten better, and so that the signs do look better than what they ever used to do.
Correct, and we've been, whether it's the Board of Adjustment or council or the planning commission has, learned to deal with these things and has imposed appropriate conditions, so ours are pretty consistent. 10-second hold times, there's pixel pitch requirements, so the messages do look crisper than they used to. So there's, like I said, advances in technology. I agree with that 1,000%.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Cable?
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
We did have the beginning of our Youth in Government program this week, and we had about 200 students go through today from Florence Elementary, Ackerman Elementary, and St. Paul. We will have 2 additional days of students rotating through. This is typically 5th grade, and they get to tour the police department, they get to meet with fire EMS professionals, and they also get to come into city council chambers here. And so it was a good program, and we appreciate all of the teachers and the administrators of the school who lent us their children for a short while, and so we could teach them a little bit about our city government. For the mayor's report, just to remind everyone that applications are now open for the 2nd Annual Florence Public Works Academy. It's a 7-week hands-on training program from June 9th through July 25th, 2025. It's designed to provide valuable skills and certifications in public works. Participants will gain experience in concrete work, storm sewer installation, landscaping, emergency vehicle maintenance, and more, with flexible scheduling options available. Application is on the city website, and you can contact Public Services Department at 859-647-5416. Invite everyone to join me for coffee with the mayor this Friday, March 28th. That is from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. for an informal conversation over free coffee and light snacks in the caucus room adjacent to council chambers. The Florence Aquatic Center memberships will go on sale at a discounted rate on April 1st, and the discount will extend through the month of April, but you will be able to continue to purchase your Aquatic Center memberships as we get ready for the pool to open Memorial Day weekend. Information is available on the city website. The Florence Police Department will host our annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 12th at Thomas More Stadium, home of the Florence Yawls. The fun will kick off at 10 a.m. with games, music, local vendors, and free photos with the Easter Bunny. For more information, you can contact Community Services Coordinator Tina Benjamin at 859-647-5425. The City of Florence is gearing up for the Great American Cleanup on Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We invite volunteers of all ages to join us in making our community cleaner and greener. Volunteers will meet at Ewing Boulevard, receive supplies, and be transported to cleanup sites with the free lunch provided at 11:45 a.m. Sign up today on the city's website or email volunteer@florence-ky.gov by April 4th. Don't forget to snap your photos to send in for our citywide photo contest that will run May 1st through the 15th. And a reminder that we will have a public hearing on solar energy regulations on April 15th at 6:45 p.m. here in the council chambers. Is there anyone on council who desires recognition? Ms. Whalen?
Just wanted to pass along what I heard or saw today, and that is the governor of Kentucky signed into law that 15-year-olds may now get a learner's permit. So anybody who's out there with a child on the cusp, they are now legally allowed to apply for their learner's permit that they can hold for training for 4 years now instead of 3. Is that right, I think? But anyway, if you got a 15-year-old, they're ready to drive, whether you're ready for them or not.
Yep. Leslie?
I have a couple questions about the aquatic center, if you don't mind. I want to communicate to the public that during the month of April, the membership for anyone would be only $67, so that'll get you through the entire season, Memorial Day to Labor Day for $67. I would definitely recommend that people take advantage of that. Couple questions is, who is the point of contact person for the aquatic center at the city?
Well, Ann Kinross is the point of contact for the Aquatic Center.
Right, but that works for the city. Who is the person that works for the city that's the point of contact person?
So you can contact Jason, well, there he is.
Yeah,
Jason
you
List.
contact me.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And then is Jason also handling the marketing?
No, he is not. Melissa, our PR coordinator, is handling the marketing.
Awesome. And then I did notice new on the website, it says child must be a member of household with one adult pass to purchase. And I just have a couple scenarios that kind of doesn't make sense to me for, such as I tend to buy memberships for my nephews every year. Obviously, they're not in my household, but I do like to buy memberships for them and bring them with me to the pool. So that seems like that would not, that I would not be able to then buy them a membership. Also, what if,
I would say those can be handled on a case-by-case basis and can contact Finance Department. But the intent is that children need to be accompanied by adults, and so therefore, that's why there's a requirement.
okay, and then I just was also wanting to know, I know that our octopus slide was out of commission last season, and it was being replaced by something else, so I was just wondering if we could get an update on that.
Eric?
Sure. So we are working with, we've just learned in the last couple weeks that new regulations have been put into place for water features that we will have to abide by, that the current octopus did not when it was constructed. And it's different chlorination, filtration systems that have to be within the feature itself. So the state is working with on this. We're also currently under design. We're hopeful that we're going to be able to get this all designed, built, and in place by the kickoff of the season. But I won't sit here and say that that's going to happen 100%, because we got to work through this process. And if we can get everything approved, all the design has to go down to Frankfurt to be approved. So we will have some things outside of our control we're going to push, but that is a piece that I can't control. So we will do our best to get the new feature in place. Otherwise, the goal is to leave the existing feature in place for another season in the event this doesn't happen, because once the water's in the pool, you can't do it. So we want to make sure the pool opens and the octopus doesn't prevent that, or the new feature doesn't prevent that from happening. So as we get closer, I can keep you guys more updated on that, but that's where we stand today.
Thank you for your update and all your hard work on this. I do have a follow-up question on this. So in the event that we're not able to get something in place, is because you have, the shark slide is for tiny ones, and then you have the yellow slide for taller ones. So there's a group of kiddos that will kind of be missing out on, that extra fun. Is there something that the city could maybe consider doing, or can I just throw that out there to think about, like maybe like a blow-up slide or something in the grassy area or something fun for them?
We can look at that.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to tell Eric Hall, I really appreciate your team. They have been very helpful. We've had some construction on our street. They have been very accommodating, and I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to recognize that. And I also wanted to state that I've had a couple of residents reach out in reference to the comment made by Vice Mayor Whalen in regards to individuals coming to homes stating that they are with Duke Energy. and selling solar. So just a reminder to be very vigilant in regards to that, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Angie. Any department heads, is there a recognition? Anyone in the audience? Come to the podium, please.
Since we're talking about the pool, as you know, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and one of the issues with that is called dysautonomia, which is a dysfunction of the autonomic system and getting basically the blood flow to all of your extremities. And it can have a side effect of dizzy spells and fainting. And I've actually gone through aquatic therapy and at UC, and they said they would love for me to have a regular pool to go to. The problem is that the condition is made worse by heat and, all of the sunlight and stuff because of that. And I was wondering, what's the chance we can get an indoor pool?
Well, currently, we don't have any plans for
Yeah.
an indoor pool, but I know that we are going through our aquatic center master plan, and we'll be presenting that to council. And obviously, it's just a matter of whether or not that's something council's interested in funding. We have a parks master plan as well, where we looked at park improvements for 6 other parks, so they'll have to weigh all of that and
Yeah.
make a decision.
An indoor pool would not just help just me, but there's a lot of other conditions like POTS and things that require that aquatic therapy. But again, the heat and that direct sunlight will make it worse. And you don't want me going to the aquatic center and then having a fainting spell because of the heat. So it's not just, it's not just a whim. It would help people. Aquatic therapy is also good for people with arthritis. It's good for all sorts of conditions with people, rebuilding their strength. So it would be really good for the community of people who are disabled or older in Florence to have an indoor pool. So, yeah.
Thank
Just-
you.
Just think about it. Thank you.
This gentleman first.
So I know that the solar ordinance.
If you could state your name,
Zeb
please.
Gentry, sorry. I know the solar ordinance was pushed to a public hearing, which I wanted to thank Councilwoman Cable for that. And I also wanted to thank the city clerk for providing me the documents from an open records request for that ordinance. I'm not going to go into any of my spiel. I specifically just have 10 copies of my notes regarding all of that ordinance and everything with some of the details of what I'm going to
So-
bring up.
Is this regarding the solar
Yes.
issue?
And I just
So
wanted.
can we have you submit those to the city clerk so that they can be put into the record and
Okay.
reserve them for the public hearing, which I think that would be the most appropriate time.
Okay, so there would be no ability to see this, for the council people to see this beforehand?
They,
and-
they need to, it needs to go through the public hearing.
Okay, all right,
So you can register those comments with Melissa, and she'll include them in the record.
okay. This is separate from the actual discussion I want to have at that time.
But is it regarding the solar panel issue?
Yes.
Yes, so
okay.
let's reserve that for the public hearing.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Yep, thank you.
You,
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and dedicated staff. I'm Robert Sargent. My wife and I will be married 40 years this August, and we have a home in the Plantation Point neighborhood here in Florence, and our son and daughter-in-law also live in the Antebellum community along Weatherington Boulevard. And the issue that I want to bring to your attention is one of pedestrian safety, and frankly, the lack thereof of pedestrian safety between Mount Zion Road and US 42 along Weatherington Boulevard. There are 7 crosswalks across Weatherington Boulevard, and not a single one is safe at any time of day or night, at any season of the year. The posted speed limit is 35. The effective speed limit is 55. Pedestrians experience cars buzzing by them in both directions, sometimes simultaneously, At times, horn honking and verbal assaults occur. The cross streets are no better. And there are 15 or 16 along Weatherington Boulevard. I brought this to the attention of the HOA board, the Plantation Point Homeowners Association board, and they told me that there was nothing that they could do. I spoke with Chet Hand, the Boone County District 2 Commissioner, who told me there was nothing that the county could do. I found that interesting because I believe that many of the changes that they made to Interstate 71, 75, and along Mount Zion Road have actually contributed to the increase in traffic along Weatherington Boulevard from Mount Zion Road to US 42. I promise I'll be concise. I'm trying to communicate effectively, and I appreciate your time very much and the opportunity to speak to you. In fairness to Chet Hand, he did suggest that I reach out, since it is technically, it is within the Florence community, that I reach out to you. And I wrote a letter to Councilperson Cable back in February, and she was very gracious in acknowledging and seemed sympathetic to my cause. She indicated that she would pass it along to Mr. Hunt. Councilwoman Chambers has also shown some sensitivity to the issue, and I appreciate that very much. I'd also like to thank Melissa Kramer for keeping me informed of when meetings are, what's on the agendas. I reached out to her because I looked on the website for a meeting. I had planned to come, and that meeting had been canceled. You don't know who's coming. And so cancellation of a meeting is certainly something that happens. But she has been very kind in keeping me informed of what's going on. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak before you. It is an issue that I feel very passionate about. I have a grandson who attends Erpenbeck Elementary, who walks by my house to and from school every day and uses these crosswalks. There was a Boone County sheriff that helped the children across the street at the school. I think that's been replaced by a crossing attendant that's provided by the school, and the sheriff is moved into the school to perform school resource officer functions. But all I'm really asking is, and I invite all of you, come take a walk with me. I've been walking outside for exercise my whole life. Come take a walk with me and see for yourself the pedestrian safety issues that are occurring day and night, year-round, along Weatherington Boulevard. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and making us aware. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else desires recognition? If not, we do not have need for a closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Whalen? Second by Ms. Cable. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.